searched high and low for you, for you. Each day gets closer, so hold on stronger to me and you.
In Manorville, an area of Long Island where body parts related to the Gilgo Beach murders had been found in the past. Mystery surrounds why police are scouring the area and whether it could be connected to the investigation into Rex Heuermann, who's been connected to the Gilgo 4. Thanks for joining me for Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. There was some really big news on Long Island when police started searching a wooded area in Manorville. If Manorville sounds familiar, it's because it's the area where remains belonging to Jessica Taylor and Valerie Mack were found. Some of their remains, of course, were also found on Ocean Parkway on Gilgo Beach. Now, no one has ever been charged in their murders. Several New York media outlets, quoting sources, say this search is related to the Gilgo Beach murder investigation. Rex Heuermann, an architect from Massapequa Park in Long Island, is charged with the murders of the Gilgo 4.
Long Island serial killings, a timeline of events. Viewer discretion is advised. What began as a search for a missing woman led to the discovery of multiple bodies and the capture of a man police say is a serial killer. May 1st, 2010, Shannon Gilbert disappears. Shannon Gilbert, 23, was working as an escort. In the early morning hours of May 1st, 2010, Gilbert made a frantic phone call to 911. She had been at a client's home on Long Island and said she believed someone was after her. She took off running and told the 911 operator some people were trying to kill her. Shannon was never heard from or seen alive again. Police found the bodies of 4 women near Gilgo Beach on New York's Long Island. The women became known as the Gilgo 4 and were identified as Maureen Brainard Barnes, Amber Costello, Megan Waterman, and Melissa Barthelemy. Police say all of the women were petite, and 3 of them were wrapped in burlap. Police began their hunt for the serial killer. Chapter 2, the killer had a type. Dominic Varone, who was Suffolk County Chief of Detectives at the time, said there were similarities among the Gilgo 4. The women were very petite, around 5 feet tall, and worked as escorts online. Chapter 2, the disappearance of Maureen Brainard Barnes, the first victim of the Gilgo 4. Maureen is often referred to as the first of the Gilgo 4. She went missing in July 2007. Maureen was a single mother of 2 living in Norwich, Connecticut. She had begun working as an escort, posting ads on Craigslist and other websites to try and gain more clients. On July 6, 2007, her cell phone was contacted by a burner phone. Between July 6th and July 9th, there were 16 interactions between the caller using the burner phone. Maureen's sister Missy received a call from Maureen late at night from Penn Station in Midtown Manhattan. Chapter 3, the disappearance of Melissa Barthelemy in July of 2009. Melissa, 24, moved from Buffalo, New York to New York City to work as a hairdresser. At some point, she also began working as an escort. In July 2009, nearly 2 years on the same day that Maureen went missing, Melissa disappeared. Chapter 4, July 17, 2009, taunting phone calls in the weeks following Melissa's disappearance. Police say her then, 15-year-old Amanda received a series of phone calls from a man calling from Melissa's cell phone. The first of these calls came on July 17, 2009 at around 12:40 p.m. Several calls followed in the coming weeks. In one, the caller told Amanda he had killed Melissa. Chapter 5, the disappearance of Megan Waterman on June 5, 2010. Megan was working as an escort. The Long Island killer didn't like escorts. In June 2010, she was contacted by a burner phone, and the account was opened on the day that Megan was contacted at 1:31 a.m. Megan's phone was again contacted by the same burner phone as the day before. Security video showed Megan leaving a holiday party at Holiday Inn Express in Hauppauge, Long Island, around the same time this was the last time she was seen alive. "I can't bring her back." Liliana Waterman was just 3 years old when her mom went missing. Sept. 2, 2010, Amber Costello disappears. Amber Costello, 27-year-old escort living on Long Island, was contacted by someone using a burner phone. The next day, she left the house to meet a client and never returned home. After Amber's disappearance, police say her roommate Dave told them about her clients. On the night she went missing, Dave says the caller offered her $1,500 for the night, 3 times the amount she usually charges. Thank you for watching the Long Island Serial Killer, aka Gilgo Beach Murders, Part 1. Subscribe, like, share, comment.
Member of society, he's going to work every day, he's supporting his family, and he's incarcerated. And he's claiming he didn't do this. So obviously it's troubling, and he's dealing with it on a day-by-day basis, one day at a time. But he is looking forward to having his day in a courtroom.
So back to what's going on in Manorville. Police spent 2 days searching the area. And as you can see from this video from News 12 Long Island, it was a busy search. The Suffolk County District Attorney's Office will only say the Suffolk County Police Department, the New York Police Department, and the New York State Police are working with the District Attorney's Office on an ongoing investigation. We do not comment on investigative steps while they are underway. We will make further statements when appropriate. The search was a surprise to people who have followed the case closely for years, including Joe Jackalone, a retired NYPD cold case sergeant and host of True Crime with the Sarge on YouTube.
Yeah, like many people, I was surprised to hear about this when I saw it come over the news wire. But when you take a look at that area, that specifically involves not only Gilgo, but there's also another person that they arrested, a man named John Bittroff years ago, who lived not too far from where this happened. But you had 2 victims, Jessica Taylor and Valerie Mack, whose torsos were found in Manorville many years ago. And then the rest of their remains were found in Gilgo when that search was going on. So there's a tie-in to Gilgo somewhere along the line between Manorville and Gilgo Beach. The question comes down to is who was responsible. And I think that this is quite unusual because just to be narrowing in on a specific area, I think they must have gotten a tip that they felt that was really valuable. And they went all out on this so far.
So what does that say to you? I mean, we have the Gilgo 4 who were wrapped in burlap. They were not dismembered, but then we have other victims who were, and their body parts were found on the same stretch as the Gilgo 4, but then also body parts in Manorville. It's just so gruesome. So is this the same person with different MOs, in your opinion? What are your thoughts?
Well, yes, and from the very beginning, I was a one-person serial killer on this whose MO had changed over time. So, for instance, he had to dismember the earlier victims because he picked these young women up off the street, and someone might have seen them get into his car or truck or what have you, and that he would be afraid that they would be able to identify him. Then, as technology changed and burner phones and the internet, like with the Backpage and the Craigslist, there was no need for him to dismember people because it was done totally anonymous, or he thought so at the time, and there was no need to be able to go beyond what he had to do to discard the body. So I think it's been the same person all along, and the issue that comes down to is that the police have a real tough time ahead of themselves because we haven't really heard if there was any DNA found with any of these other cases. And if you remember, Anjanette, there was a big feud between then Police Commissioner Richard Dormer and Thomas Spoda, the district attorney, about how many killers there were.
So you think it's